I died in an abandoned building. When my parents came to deal with the body, my mom, who's a forensic expert, looked at me and said, "Abstruse, someone's family must be devastated. They didn't even recognize their own daughter." My body was found in an abandoned building. The construction workers, struggling to hold back their nausea, called the police. My parents rushed from my sister Lily Lambert's celebration banquet to the crime scene. The crime scene investigator, Chester Ford, frowned and motioned for them to put on masks. My dad, David Lambert, was one of the top investigators the police brought in for special cases, and my mom, Stella Zimmer, was the leading forensic pathologist in Jasper City. Even though they had seen countless crime scenes, they still flinched when they saw my body in the sweltering summer heat. My corpse had bloated significantly, my face was smashed beyond recognition, a bloody mess with no identifiable features. My entire body was covered in wounds, and only a sliver of skin still connected my head to my neck. The overwhelming stench of decay filled the air. One closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and put on her gloves to begin a preliminary examination. Her gaze held a rare trace of compassion as she looked at my body. In life, I had never been treated so gently by her. I watched nervously as she removed a blood-stained ring from my hand. I had made identical rings for my family, but when Lily's did not fit, my parents scolded me harshly. "You are always up to no good, deliberately trying to hurt your sister. Emily, even though you appear our biological daughter, Lily has been part of this family for 18 years. She will always be more important than you." Their angry voices still echoed in my ears, but I believed my parents loved me. Surely, they would recognize the gift I gave them. But Mom's expression did not change. She simply instructed her assistant, Ruby Gomez, to put the ring into an evidence bag. I should not have hoped. In their hearts, I never existed, even though I was their biological daughter. My brother, Eddie Lambert, once told me that Mom and Dad adopted Lily because they could not find me after I was kidnapped. He said I was always their favorite daughter, but when I returned home, there was no place left for me. I felt like an intruder in my own family. After surveying the scene, Dad sighed and asked Mom, "What's the situation with this body?" Mom removed her gloves and massaged her furrowed brows. "The victim appears to be around 20 years old. Preliminary cause of death looks like a throat slit. She was likely tortured for a long time before she died. The method is brutal and the public impact will be severe. We need to solve this case quickly before it blows up in the media." Dad lit a cigarette and took a deep drag. He had a troubled expression. "Even after death, I was still causing my parents problems," Chester reminded them. "You have 2 daughters, Don it, let them go out at night." Mom's voice was impatient. "Lily is always obedient. It's Emily I can control." Chester, being an old friend of my parents, knew all about our family situation. Dad rubbed his right shoulder. Chester noticed and asked. Dad waved him off. "It's fine. I put on one of those pain relief patches Emily bought." He stopped mid-sentence. The daughter they called rebellious still cared about their health. Chester patted Dad on the back. "You should treat Emily better. After all, she's your real daughter." Dad shook his head. "A couple of days ago, Lily had a tennis match and she kept asking for Emily to come watch. But Emily, she picked up the phone and then ghosted us. Lily was so worried about her sister, she only got 3rd place. Emily hasn't been home in days. Who knows if she's dead out there somewhere. Guess you didn't raise yourself, just never turn out right." Hearing my parents' complaints and accusations, I felt a chill in my heart. "Mom, Dad, it was not that I did not want to come home. I just couldn't. Any more, the ungrateful daughter you talked about died the day you were at Lily's tennis match. My body was now right in front of you at the case briefing. After listening to my mom's autopsy report, the officers all had somber expressions. My death was gruesome, making facial identification impossible. The abandoned building where my body was dumped was not the original crime scene, significantly increasing the difficulty of solving the case. Dad instructed the officers to search the area around where the body was found for any suspicious activity, have the forensic pathologist perform another autopsy to see if there's anything new, and send the DNA samples to the forensic lab as soon as possible." He left my mom with that remark before hurrying off with his team.